Anyway, no,
Maybe it has to do with my appearance.
somebody started it, so we are live at 10:52. I don't know how that happened. All right, I think
Like you can now see me. I can now mute. I'm now.
there you go. We got folks coming in. It's going to be great.
Oops.
And they're here early. So whoever's here early gets to see the behind the scenes action, because it usually doesn't start until getting closer to the top of the hour. So welcome aboard. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Welcome everyone on this.
I'm gonna
beautiful
stop
Tuesday.
sharing because they don't need to see all our behind the scenes planning and strategizing. How you guys doing? Awesome.
Very
There's
good.
Peter Timbas. Look at that action. Oh my
Hey.
goodness. Looking good there, buddy.
Looking really good.
All right. We
35
already have
people in.
30 folks here, all coming in early for us.
Welcome, welcome.
There you go. Fantastic.
A nice little welcome message. Welcome.
Yeah.
I'm
So
calling in for
everybody's-
Park City. So calling in.
I'm calling
I'm
in
zooming
from
from Park
here.
City.
This is where I'm calling in from.
I'm Maryland also this morning.
You are. That's right. You were in Maryland for some
I'm
reason.
in Solomon's Island.
Solomon's Island. Fantastic.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's great. Tilt your camera down just a little bit, Peter. We appreciate, or stand
Morning,
up.
Patrick.
There you
Edgewater.
go.
Hello.
I like
Hello,
your
Edgewater.
I like your new background saying TFN, because Peter's going to be on the hook today.
Yep.
He's the one that's coming up. He's one of the folks that are going to be here. Let me make
Morning,
sure.
Tracy from Charlotte, North Carolina. Woohoo. Hi, Denver. You're close to me. Anthony.
There you go.
I'm in Utah. It's been colder than I can't even imagine here. We're glad you're here.
Link.
This is great. Yay.
All right. Make sure that Brian Hebel.
We have
Is
Zachary
coming
in the
in.
house. Hello,
So,
everyone from
he's not here
Safeguard
yet.
Maintenance in Cockeysville, Maryland. Another Maryland. Hi, Linda. Welcome,
Cockeysville,
welcome.
Maryland. That's not far.
Yeah. Hi, Eric French. Jacksonville, North Carolina. Woohoo.
Nice.
Tina's here. Michelle Cleary's in the house from Columbia, South Carolina. I've been there. I love that. I did a really fun boat tour in
Hang
Columbia.
on, I'm calling the boy.
We have Shelby. Cincinnati, woohoo. Dallas, Texas. Torrington, Connecticut. Hey, Mark. Welcome. Reba is here from Middletown, Delaware. We have Falls Church. Hello, Bloomingfield Hills, Michigan. Landover, Maryland. 5 minutes to start. Everybody feel free to, if you want and you know how to use Zoom, or if you don't, you can actually name yourself. I'm going to tell you how, a little instruction here. So you hover over your picture, your beautiful picture, and you'll see 3 dots. And in the 3 dots, it'll say rename, and you can actually put your name and your company. So mine says Sally White, EchoWolf.Solutions. Hi, Jocelyn from Landover. Nika from Rockville, Maryland. What's
Hey,
up with
Mikey.
Maryland, Dave? All these people are your
I'm
neighbors.
telling you,
right?
man. I don't know.
You post on next door or
If they
what?
don't like it, they're gonna all come invade my house or
Here, come
something.
see you. Coming after you.
They coming after me.
Oh,
Mike Richardson's in the house. You there, Mikey?
Oh, good. Mike from,
Yeah, because he's got some. So the cool thing is, Mike is with Aqualogics. He's going to be talking about. We got Peter who's going to be talking about contract funding, and we also have Mike who has a really cool way of also getting contract funding for our folks. And Brian,
I'm actually here. Sorry about that.
I know that.
I was trying to fix this thing so that it looks like I want to look like Sally.
Oh.
You don't look like Sally.
I don't know if we can help you with that, but we do our best.
I think it's the glasses. I think it's the glasses.
I want to look like Peter. Peter
It's
wants to look like Dave.
It's 2022. You can
Raphael's
do whatever
in
you
the
want,
house.
Mike.
There you go.
Morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, Peter. How are you?
There's
Good
Mike.
morning, Raphael.
All right, Raphael's coming on. I got to promote everybody to make co-hostage. All right, fantastic. Well, Everybody's coming on board. We got 67 people already here. So that's fantastic. We have the expectation this will probably go over 250. It's been 250 on a regular basis. So it's fantastic. You guys are joining us. Rafa, can you share your vid? Is that going to work for you?
I'm trying to.
All
There we
right,
go.
there he is.
All
Look
There he
at that.
is. Rafa's in that
Morning,
nice
Rafa.
background there.
That's
Hi, Sally.
Hi,
That's
Rafa.
morning.
Hi,
Hey,
Mike.
Peter. Hey,
How you
guys.
doing?
Hey,
good to
Mike.
see you.
Hey,
Hey, how's
Zachary.
it going?
Zachary,
you
don't
go.
be stealth, Zachary. We need to see your beautiful face.
Oh, is that you? I got to promote him if you want to see him.
Ah,
No, I'm in stealth mode. I'm in stealth
He's in
mode.
stealth
Stealth.
mode.
Hey,
We have
Mike, is
another
it cold
Dallas,
in Orlando?
He's
Texas.
behind the scenes. He's doing behind the scenes. We'll get started in just a minute and we'll get going. Like we've been talking about where we're calling in from. Got a whole bunch of folks that have already told us this is where I'm coming from. I'm just outside of Ellicott City in Woodstock, Maryland. For those of you
Wow.
who know where Woodstock is.
On purpose.
Where's
Mike,
the
is it cold in
Clarkenheimer?
Orlando?
What's that?
It's a little chilly down here this morning. Yes, sir. I'm wearing a sweater. So,
Okay.
I feel like you're wearing a jacket, Mike.
well, yeah,
You're wearing a
sweatshirt.
jacket.
Yeah,
Big sweater.
I'm staying warm.
And Raphael's obviously in Florida as
I got the flip flops on. No.
You must be further south, Rafael.
so I have the Uggs on.
Hey, there you go.
I'm freezing. Indiana, Colorado Springs. Hey, Richard. Stamford, Connecticut. Happy Tuesday to you, Ari.
So, hey, Dave, who do we have anybody from the Gov on today?
Do I have anybody what?
From the government that's on today?
Somebody who was with the government. So that's who I'm talking to right now. Hold on a sec. I got to give him the ID.
We have 1 minute.
I was on a Zoom call the other day, and Sally, and there was someone incognito, and it said note taker. I said, well, I guess they're with the NSA.
Note taker. That's funny. I love the anonymous ones. They come in all stealth.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
just
mean-
a little housekeeping before we start. There's going to be opportunities to ask questions, everyone. We want you to use the Q&A when Dave prompts us. We don't want to put any questions or information in the chat because we can't get to everyone with 250 people and it gets really intense. So save your questions for the polls and Dave will prompt you and you'll be.
And the Q&A.
And the Q&A.
Q&A.
Good. It's 9 o'clock. Let's rock and roll. Actually, 9.
Getting Brian on. Brian's coming. Give me just a second. He's coming. So
That's good.
talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, we'll talk amongst ourselves. Okay, hi from KC. Sorry, it's 9 o'clock in my world in Park City. Annapolis, Maryland, love Annapolis, Vermont, Northern Vermont, West Virginia, Texas, Seattle. Wow. Orlando, Seattle. Oh, feels like Seattle. Thanks, Kara.
Are you in?
Yes.
Brian?
Fairfax County, Virginia. Aloha, I'm going to Hawaii. Oh my gosh, Alana, we have to talk. Excuse me, everyone. I'm actually leaving for Hawaii on Tuesday. So I'm so excited. Going to Oahu.
Yeah, I think we got Brian in. He's here.
Okay.
Brian Hebble's in the house. I'm making you a
Morning,
co-host.
Brian.
Now you can share out your video. You look all kind of spiffy and video like.
Yeah,
There he is.
there he is.
There he is.
Mr. Hebel, welcome.
It
All
figures
right,
it
so yeah, just a quick introduction for the rest of the team. There's been a lot of folks here. I don't know where Greg Clark is. Clark, I got to make sure.
Be along.
Is Greg here yet?
No, but he'll
All
be
right.
along and if you can't get.
Zachary, when Greg posts, make him a co-host for me, okay? Can you do that for me?
Yeah, I think I need you to make me a co-host.
I
But
need
yes.
to make you a co-host so he can be made a
Hey,
co-host.
Greg's
here he
here.
is.
Greg's in the
There
house.
he is.
Babe.
All right, here we go. Never mind. I'm gonna do it. Wow, we got everybody here today. Fantastic.
Woohoo.
Glad you guys have joined us. We're at 200 already. 211. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. All right, fantastic. Well, welcome everybody to Selling to the Government 2022. I'm going to start sharing my screen in a minute. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, as I said earlier. So we actually started this early. And today we have a couple things that are really, really cool. We're going to be talking about funding federal contracts. with Peter Timbas. Say hello, Peter.
Good morning, everyone.
There he is. And we're talking about communicating with contracting officers with a former CMS contracting officer, Mr. Brian Hebel's in the house.
Woohoo.
Hey, everybody. 32,
Right.
32 years as a CO. So we'll have a lot to say today, and it'll be a fun discussion for sure.
That's
Dave.
right. And you're going to be on the hot seat, my man, because we're gonna open it up for you. I'm Dave Lowe. I'm the CEO of ISI Federal. We do data, we do marketing, and we do business development support for folks like you. And that's, you can see on the things on the right-hand side, you'll see ISI Federal is the overall company that I have. Market Essentials is our intelligence. GovBrief is what we use to push out to federal decision makers. Brian, is that working for reaching federal decision makers for you?
It is, Dave. You showed me the whole background, so it's pretty cool, and it's worked for me.
Yeah, that's right. And we just started.
I'm hunting like everybody else now, so I've been.
That's right. He's on the outside looking in, but he's still going to answer the questions. And guess what? He can say things he could have never said while he was in the government. SAM.bid with AMP. This helps you get your shit smart, get smart and reach the stakeholders. Monitoring SAM.gov. We're going to be talking about that today with the AMP platform, which is advanced monitoring platform. We'll talk about that. And that is live. SAM.bid. www.sam.bid is live. We'll be talking again about that. We also monitor GSA e-buy with Quick Fuse so that you can know fast and act faster. And you can get that, by the way, with 30-day test drive with Quick Fuse. And if you stay with it for a year, you get, and you don't sell 5 times or 500% more, you get your money back, all your money back for the year. And today we have Rafael Marrero, where I have to do my customary introduction for the good doctor. Is the blue glasses, not quite as cool as his, but I did the best I could from Amazon for $4.99. How you doing, Rafa?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and looking forward to helping people not only with their certifications, but also with correcting and perfecting their brand and when they communicate with the government, right?
It's different when you do the government work, isn't it, Rafa?
Absolutely. It's a different language altogether. You got to get your ducks in a row first.
You got to get your ducks in a row. I'm going to set you up by setting you up with the ducks in a row coming up. I say, my good man, thanks for joining us. And now I can take these off and I can introduce the man with the fabulous hair, Greg Clark.
At one point in time, I had fabulous hair.
Greg Clark helps with proposal writing and GSA schedule development, as well as other vehicles. And how much money have you booked so far, Mr. Clark?
We're at 394 contracts we've helped our clients win. And in June of last year, the combined sales on those topped 2 billion.
2 billion. Rafael?
Billion.
There you go. And you're going to be joining me February 24th, govbrief.us. You can pop that in there, Zachary. This is unsolicited proposals to federal agencies, because guess what? 38% of the contract awards, you're going to be shocked at this. Brian Hebel, 38%, only have one response. What does that mean, Brian Hebel?
Not a lot of competition.
Not a lot of competition, my man. We've been talking about that as well. So if you want to learn about minimizing the competition, that's where you want to go. Unsolicited proposals of federal agencies. We also have Sally White in the house from Echo
Good morning.
Solutions.
Happy to meet everyone. I just put my info in the chat.
And
Happy to see
that's
all of you.
fantastic. Sally's an Uber connector, does opportunity teaming, has a lot of contacts, upper echelon contacts, and she's not afraid to go after anybody, are you, Sally?
I'm not.
Nah, she's not. So we're going to talk with Sally in just a minute. And the man of the hour is Peter Timbas. We're going to be talking about lending. So Peter, we're going to keep your stuff short here, but you help with federal contract funding as well as other contract funding as well, right? And you specialize in 8As?
Yep, we have been doing it for 31 years. We've got an excellent track record. We specialize in all government contractors, but typically the reason we go into the 8A market and the small disadvantaged businesses, historically, over the years, 50% of all 8A companies never win a contract.
Wow,
So now is the time to get on the ISI bus.
Hey,
where you can acquire business. And once you acquire business, we're going to be there to fund that business. You know,
And we're
most
gonna-
of a lot of the companies that we bump into, typical response, where were you? I wish I knew about you 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Well, here's the opportunity to get on the bus right now.
That's right. And we're going to be talking to you about how that works in just a few minutes. And for the first time today, whoops, I went the wrong way. For the first time today, we have Brian Hebel, his El Presidente of acquisitionhelp.com. And the crazy thing is Brian's doing training. He's doing training for the Govies, right? You're doing training for the Govies, right?
Yeah, Cpars Training for the Gubbies, but most of our training that we do is geared towards industry, and we actually provide an inside view of how we think in government when it comes to Cpars, best value, FAR crash courses, how to get along with your core, lots of training, and teaming up with Dave to do some of those. So I'm pretty excited about that too, Dave. So
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We have one, in fact, teaming up. Good setup there, Brian. Teaming up this Thursday. If you want to know about HHS, we're going to be talking about how to do business with HHS. And HHS buys just about everything, right? Right, Brian?
yep.
It's not just medical stuff or not just studies and things. They buy a lot of things, and CMS buys a lot of things too, don't they?
So I was at CMS for 28 years.
Oh, man, get some experience. Get some experience. Maybe we'll do something. That's Brian. So please join us if you're interested in doing business with HHS, and we're going to do a CMS deep dive. And I'm telling you, it is going to be a barn burner, and I guarantee it's not going to be. It's going to go over the hour, so make sure you carve out a little bit of time. It starts 11 a.m., but it's going to go past noon. I can tell you that because both of us talk too much, right, Brian?
Definitely, Dave.
Yeah, it's a fact. All right, a little bit about this session. It's always free. We have it's almost 3,300. I think the last thing may even be more than that. Every second Tuesday at 11 a.m. If you're already signed up, you're going to be signed up for the other ones. You can just open that link and you're going to be able to come. It's dialogue with experts that you see here. And we get real about how things work. We don't blow sunshine. I can tell you that right now. And we're talking about winning tools of how you could go to market. And we'll show off a little bit of the people that you have here and what they do and how they can help you. And if you don't like a little bit of commercials in the middle, just remember what you paid for this. All right. And if you missed a session, guess what? You can get to that by going to YouTube and looking at GovBrief. They're all up there. And we do those sessions. You can always get there. And if you're after, here's what we know. No matter who you're after, if they're touching the federal space, RFIs, RFQs, monitoring, that's great. Reaching federal stakeholders, that's even more important. We'll talk about that. And anybody else that touches the government, you are in the right place. And today we're going to be talking about contracting officers, the buyers and the specialists that are there, because we have a former contracting officer here. A real quick disclaimer. If we do have Govies here, we love Govies, don't we? Don't we? Everybody?
Yes.
And we love them. If you would like to participate, this is not endorsed by any agency, and your participation is voluntary, which means you can communicate with us now, and you don't have any commitment to purchase from anybody that's here or any vendor, and that's what that is for us. So you can participate if you're with us. You can. Here's what we're going to do. Since there's how many people? 300 people here. So we need to have a little bit of control as it starts to grow. If we're going to be sharing links in the chat, okay? So you're going to, and Zachary, you can go ahead and pop the documents in here, show how that works. If you would like to communicate and ask questions, like asking the contracting officer, because that would be Brian Hebel. If you get ready to ask the contracting officer, if you have a question, you can raise your hand or you can shoot it in the Q&A. So the chat, we're going to be pushing the documents out to you, and you can raise your hand or pop in the Q&A. If you've been living under a rock and you don't know how Zoom works, you can adjust how we look and anything that you want from here. You can see us all at one time, et cetera, et cetera. The session links that Zachary's putting in the chat will be the Winnable Opportunity Matrix. We're going to be talking about that. Federal capabilities, VA procurement readiness. Love that document. HHS has one too that we'll be reviewing on Thursday. And the 90-second challenge to show you where the real money is. And the first thing I want to know is what in the world made you decide to come here today? Is it because you're new to federal contracting? You have federal contracts as a sub and you want to go prime? Or if you have prime contracts and you want to grow, or some crazy guy sent you an email. I know who that is. So go ahead. You can go. And I know some nut sent you an email. I got it. All right. And the reason we're here is because there's $3.5 trillion budget or whatever the heck the budget's going to be. And we're in Q2, by the way, Q2. That means that all the dollars need to be spent by 9:30. Why is that, Brian Hebel?
Because we would need to spend every money that that's passed through Congress. We spend all the dollars. We
Or
always
what?
do.
Or what happens?
I'm sorry, say again.
Or what happens if you don't spend all that
We
money?
get in trouble if we don't spend all the money.
You get in trouble if you don't spend all the money. God, you gotta love the government. All right, fantastic. So we have 179 have answered this question, only 60%. We're either putting people into a coma or what? I'm not sure. One of the things that I can tell you is there will be, you got 3 seconds to answer this question. 3, 2, oh, there you go. All of a sudden, everybody gets excited when I put a time limit on. All right, that's the end. All right. Well, I'm going to share this because I think this is important. So real quick, I'm going to share this. A lot of folks are new to 43% are new to federal contracting. Fantastic. This is one of the best places that you can go because we don't blow sunshine here. Do we, Sally White?
Absolutely not.
No. We do not do it. All right. So we're going to talk about infrastructure and what's coming up. We're going to be, Sally and I are coordinating to create an infrastructure briefing, right, Sally?
We are, and it's really
So-
exciting. So as you probably know, there's $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, and it's basically
Yowzers, that's a little bit of money. What do you do for trillion? Is that like 2? Sorry.
1.2 trillion. I mean, I just like, have I ever typed 1.2 trillion before? I don't think so.
That's a lot of
Um,
commas.
Yeah,
That's
a lot of comments. So what's really cool about it is it has a lot of implications for you, future small business contractors. I mean, there's some things that, and I'll just briefly mention, Dave's going to talk about some things in the infrastructure. As far as small disadvantaged businesses, there'll be a 50% increase by 2025, meaning $100 billion, $100 billion over the next 5 years. So it's going to be an excellent session, how the infrastructure, how we can all play based on our swim lane and based on what we offer. So super excited about that.
Yep. In the meantime, what do you help people do?
So what I do is two specific things. One is I help you get ready from a branding, marketing perspective on your LinkedIn page, your social media, your website, so that you're representing yourself to all the individuals that you'll be able to find through these other individuals. And so branding, social media, website, et cetera. And the second thing I do is I have a lot of contacts, executive contacts, Rear Admiral generals in the Navy. I know a lot of people in the Army, know a lot of CEOs and chairmen, and those individuals are probably not going to buy your solutions. However, we can link in with them. We can figure out where they went to school and have them speak to the people who speak to the people who speak to the people who help you get a seat at the table when you submit your proposal. So branding, marketing, and executive connections.
Love it. And she's real good at what she does. And the LinkedIn world that's your playground. That's all I can say.
So I
So
put my
if
stuff in the
any-
chat.
Yep. And you can certainly do that. And let's ask the question, does anybody need help with their LinkedIn? Because we will make sure that you get connected with Sally as a result of that, with your engagement message, your web presence, or something else. Please call me and we'll make sure that you get what you need from Sally White, who's an
Yes.
awesome individual. So back to the presentation. We're going to be looking at this handout specifically right now. And this is the Winnable Opportunity Matrix that we use to say, all right, how do we know that we're really in position to be able to win? But the most important piece today that we're going to be talking about is and if you have something in front of your screen because of the poll or something, you can just exit out after you answer the question if you would like to do something with Sally. But we're going, and let me just do this. I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, there you go. 57. One more, maybe. All right, 58. There you go. You have 58 people to talk to, Sally. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
So there you go. So we're going to be talking about building relationships with stakeholders And today, specifically, we're going to be talking about contracting officers, but in the future, and you're going to need to build relationships with more than just the contracting officer, the program manager, the technical representative, and the administrators or the senior level people that are in the organization. You don't always have to have that. Like Sally just said, they're probably not going to be the ones that are going to be buying from you. In fact, they won't be, because the contracting officer is the only one that can do that. Right, Brian Hebel?
That'd be correct.
That'd be correct. And but you do need some political cover sometimes, and it never hurts to use to drop names. Just be careful when you do it. But the most important thing that you need to know about this is this is modified for the Miller-Hyman strategic selling, and what it is you're going to drive people into the green, and what that means is they favor you in some form or fashion. First of all, if you're just a one, okay, you're okay, you're all right. Second, they kind of like you. Third, they really like you. Fourth, if they're number 4, they're a coach. They're willing to coach you through the organization. And 5 is a champion. They're willing to take your flag up the hill. Very rare do you have those. However, they do happen. Notice that there isn't a middle ground. There is no 0 in there. They either know who you are or they don't. And if they don't know who you are, they're not going to buy from you. Right, Brian Hebel?
That's a good assumption, Dave.
That's pretty doggone good. And if they favor the competition, it looks like this. So if you think about if they know you and like you, they're in the green. And if they know the competition and like the competition, they're in the red. Make sense? And so here's the deal. We want to move contracting officers into the green. So let's talk about who contracting officers are and what they do, because it's very important that your message resonates with folks like Brian Hebel. Otherwise, you're going to miss the mark. So first of all, they're busy. Are they busy, Brian Hebel?
Very busy. In fact, even with COVID, they probably aren't going to answer your email or pick up the phone. They're not answering the phones as much as they used to be. That's at least not what I'm finding out now.
That's what you're finding out. So we need a way to be able to entice them, right? Most of them are not going to teach you. Brian, on the other hand, was willing to teach people on occasion. You wouldn't teach everybody, would you?
No, I actually met with contractors about twice a week.
Twice a week.
Yeah, for at least like the last 6 years of my career per se.
And that's not normal. So
No.
we already know that Brian's on the edge of not being normal. Just make sure everybody knows.
That's true.
And you guys are risk averse. And what that means when you're talking about new things, if you have a new contractor, that's risky, right? And you're experts in moving paper. That's not to diminish what you do. That's your job.
Hey, Dave, one thing that I did see from contractors a lot, particularly new contractors, and we have a lot on here, is when they would come in, I would say, how do we get to you? So one thing, and I'm not sure if you're getting that to a later slide, you can tell me to be quiet. But one thing I would always want to know is how could we get to you? Because the contractor.
What do you mean by that? How do they get to you by what?
How can we buy from you?
How do we buy from you?
Yeah, and the contractors that are have the opportunity to help us get to them quickly and efficiently are the ones that we're gonna look at harder from that standpoint. Particularly, we probably have a lot of 8As on here. We like 8As if it's less than $4 million and we can get to you quickly. So that's really good.
Yep. But notice on the bottom of that, it talks about it. But first, you select the purchasing mechanism. You're going to choose whether it goes full and open, or if you're going to pick from a selected group of individual companies, right?
Yep.
Yep. And so you develop the contract documents, and you mentioned you want the fastest way to purchase. And the fastest way, it depends on what your preferred mechanism is. So sometimes you're mandated to buy from a particular contract vehicle, and other times you're not. And sometimes you can do whatever you decide, provided that you can get to that contractor that can fulfill that need. And easy is good, right?
Easy is really good.
Easy is really good. So let me ask you this, for everybody that's here, what is just one relationship with a contracting officer worth, right? Is it less than 10,000, 10 to 25, 25 to 50? And a lot of folks are usually going to be in the upper side, but there's a different strategy, which we're going to be talking a little bit about on Thursday. And then we're going to get into your questions.
David, how'd you come up with that question? I've never seen a question that was like that before. I love that one.
Oh, you like that? All right, I did something right, folks.
Uh,
There's actually a method to the madness, right? So let's see. We have a couple of questions, and this is where we're going to be asking the contracting officer. You can raise your hand, or you can put it in here where Michael Jones put one in. Brian, what is the best way to establish a personal relationship with a contracting officer? My boss wants to cold call, email everyone. Is this effective?
Yeah, so, so when and I'm not pushing my buck, I'm really not, even though Dave has it up there.
I bought it. I bought it.
I'm not. But I
got
wrote it in 2015 because I just saw that there were things contractors didn't do. So I wanted to kind of provide an inside perspective of how we think in government, which is kind of like the training that I'm doing. But anyhow, generally speaking, and I'm gonna talk whether it's the CO, if you do get a champion, as Dave mentioned, it's really good to really help you move around. But I had a guy from CGI that's been doing this for 40 years tell me, Brian, I always remember the one thing you told me. And generally speaking, I think the important thing for the contracting officers is how can we get to you, number one. But number two, you don't want to really, they're not going to want to meet with you, particularly maybe on the program side more, but even on the CO side, you want to help them save money and solve problems, right?
There you go.
There's about 6 different techniques I have in my head that I've kind of put into print on when you should meet with them. And if you can help them save money, solve problems, tell them about industry trends, new technology, respond to RFIs and source of sought notices. And there's an other in there, but I forget what my other was that I had the idea of a couple years back. But
You gotta read your own book, man.
no, it was book 2. I kind of put some other ideas in book 2. Book 1 was save money, solve problems, right?
There you go.
But
I think that's fantastic, by the way.
and if you just remember those things, that's when you really want to meet, particularly on the program side. That's when they'll meet with you. But if you have, I actually had one, I'm actually helping a client do some COVID testing on a smartphone that we've reached out to people at different agencies and even doing it commercially. And in there, like the messaging is really important.
It is.
What you put in the subject line, but I emailed a CO, Dave. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, don't tell that story yet.
Yeah, well, I emailed
Come back to that.
CO. This was just about 3 weeks ago.
Don't tell the story. Don't tell it.
Oh,
It's a setup for something else. That's
okay.
a teaser for
If it's that story. But anyhow, if you can help them save money and solve problems, I think you'll have a better chance of them meeting with you. Now with COVID, you can't get in. At my agency, there was one particular 8A contractor who was in the office all the time. And he ended up getting $110 million BPA at DHS, and his company blew up. But he had a good personality. He wasn't threatening, but he was pushy enough, and he was an 8A, and he blew his company up.
He killed it.
So
we're going to talk.
FaceTime.
I think that's great. Hold on 1 second. I'm not sure if you can answer this or not. From Robert Schmidt, SBIR law requires phase 3 contracts be awarded sole source whenever practicable. However, contracting officers continue to refuse this route, and particularly don't like to acknowledge SBIR data rights. How can this dichotomy be corrected? Well, that's a big question. But first, I'm going to throw in that whose job is it to educate contracting officers on how they can operate, Brian? Because I think that's one of the things that he's
Dave, that's a
asking.
perfect segue. I'm not sure, maybe we've been working together a little too long, but so when contractors would come into me, and this is late, I was 32 years as a contracting officer, contractors would come into me and tell me how different vehicles worked. I didn't know how different vehicles worked in other agencies, or a way for us to get to you, or if the regulations change sometimes. So my answer to that, just in that segue, Dave, was on an SBIR. I think you need to educate them on how that vehicle works. I don't know how SBIRs work. I never ordered
Exactly.
one. I really couldn't tell you.
Wait a minute, Brian. You've been in contracting for over 3 decades. Why is it that you don't know about it?
Well, everybody's kind of segmented into the work they do, and somebody, some people might be doing these kind of awards, using GSA a lot. Somebody else might be doing IDIQs, or they have their own program.
That's right.
They're
You're in your
focused
lane. You're in your lane, right?
Yeah. So
And I cannot thank you enough, Robert, with that question, because if they don't know that, if they're not aware of that lane, here you have somebody that's 3 decades. How many billions of dollars have you awarded?
well, about my divisions did about $1.5 billion a year.
$1.5 billion
I
a
have my
year.
FAR. I mean, I know my FAR, but I know where to look. Like, we all know where to look. But in my office, all the managers, we all worked together for 25 years and had a highly performing office. If I don't know something, I'm going to tell you I don't know it, right?
Yeah.
But I'll know where to look. So nobody knows everything, particularly nobody. There's nobody out there that knows everything about the FAR.
And I think, Robert, to piggyback on what Brian just said and what we just revealed, and this is really good stuff, by the way. You can turn into the education engine for contracting officers. And guess what? If you're talking about a contracting method, Brian already said, how do I buy from you? How do I do it?
Hey, Dave, even another thing just to get into, which is really kind of interesting. So if you're working with a core, right, and your core changed, you could assume that your new core doesn't even have a copy of the contract, right? That whole repository of all your deliverables and everything you submitted, that's most agencies, maybe not in DOD, but a lot of other agencies, and then maybe even DOD too, that goes puff. There's no repository. So I was just having a call with one of my clients today, talking to the program office, the head program office, because they probably don't even know what's in the contract.
You're right.
You know, so
to your point, here, Brian, listen to this. Problem is, the FARs and DFARs are more than a decade behind the law changes. Yes, you're right, Robert. You can flip that right upside down. You can flip that upside down, turn that into an opportunity for you to educate the contracting officers. If you're waiting for GSA to do it, you're going to be old, gray, dead and buried by the time that happens. I could just tell you. Is there?
You know what? If you're contracting officer, and you should check them out I would say check them out on Google. I mean, on LinkedIn if they're in there. But if they got less than 10 years experience, I would call them inexperienced. So if you're emailing them and asking them a question about an SBIR and they don't want to talk to you, if they got less than 10 years experience, they're probably afraid to tell you they don't know.
Oh,
Like, if I don't know something, I'm going to tell you I don't know
because you're comfortable in your own skin, man.
Yeah, we know. So it could be that they don't know. But then the problem is, how do you educate them? Because like I was just talking on the issue of just talking to one of my colleagues about educating a contracting officer, and she was telling me, and Dave, you're going to talk about this clause later, that 8.404F clause, that she was telling me she brought a certain clause up to a contracting officer, and they didn't like the fact that they brought the clause up to them.
No,
you know what I mean?
You got to be careful
on how you got to, it depends on how you approach it.
That's right. You got to be, the approach is everything, right? But you got to be careful. You can't offend people. You can't drop names. If, I've had multiple times where people dropped it the wrong way. And they're like, well, General so-and-so told me, don't you drop names on me, boy. I actually had somebody say that. It wasn't to me, it was somebody else.
Hey, Dave, are you going to talk today about FAR 8.4?
We are not going to talk about that because that's secret information that we're going to talk about on HHS Day.
Okay.
All right, there you go. So we're gonna get to some more questions. Kenneth, we'll talk about that 8A in just a minute. And what are the steps before contacting the CEO? We're going to talk about that too. So and Brian, I can't read yours right now because I'm in the middle of talking and I can't read and talk at the same time. I'm just not that good. Here's the deal. If they don't know you, they won't buy from you. Is there anybody that can argue with this statement? Right? Everybody thinks that everything is so fair and they'll do it. So, okay. So here we go. Here's what we're going to talk about, getting on your radar as a contracting officer. Sending an email, you mentioned it, you had a little tweak there. It was create an enticing subject line, right? And we're going to talk about how you can do this. With short message, you don't want to have a huge diatribe, because are you going to read a novel on an email, Brian?
No.
Never. You're never going to do it. Nobody else does it. Why would you expect a contracting officer to? You do not want to tell them everything. What you want to do is you want to entice them to talk with you. You want it to be short and you want to connect with, what did Brian say? A problem that they need to solve, right? And I love this one, a recent award, we'll talk about that, or an upcoming recompete, right? And the one thing that you want to embed in that is that when you see this, remember me, or remember my company. When you see zero trust, anything with zero trust in a requirement, remember divine. That's one of the folks that that's one of our clients. We just did a briefing for them. When you see this, think this. This is a psychological thing that wires your brain. And if you keep hitting them with that, that's a beautiful thing.
Hey, Dave, there's one guy that does BD work at where I work, and what he does, he always wears a little thing on his suit coat. He always wears a lapel. And that's how everybody remembers him.
And then
as crazy as it is,
yeah,
it's one little thing, just a lapel.
Just one little thing. So be remembered. So that's a huge thing for people to realize is in your approach and everything else, just be remembered for one thing. And then that'll tweak their memory. The other thing that you need to do is make sure that your DUNS, your CAGE, your socioeconomic certs, and your vehicles are included on that, as well as if you're sending a capability statement, it needs to be a searchable capability statement. And here's where we reach out to Rafael Marrero, because you got to get your ducks in a row with Rafael Marrero. So there you go. Rafa, how you do? Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I need to change. Here we go. Now I'm ready. I'm ready to talk with the good doctor. So tell everybody, I do have a slide up here. It's one of your older slides from your book. He's also a guy with a book. Show your book. You have your book? I usually have it here. I don't have it.
And Rafa,
and you don't have it either.
And Rafa, yeah, please put the name of the book in the chat. A lot of people are asking the name of the book. So if you all want to put a link to Amazon or wherever you get the book, both Brian and Rafa, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
So first and foremost, I want to call out that we specialize in contract and procurement readiness. I'm Brian's former counterpart on the private sector side. I did what Brian did for a large Fortune company, and we basically my job is to help you mitigate vendor risk. Right? You're a newbie. You're coming in front of someone who's going to consider buying or procuring your goods and services. They're not going to buy on the basis of you being a veteran or a minority or a woman or whatever. It is, how do you address the needs of the government and do it in a compliant fashion? So my role is to get you certified, registered, and to make sure that we maximize your image and spit shine your material so that you look your best, right? So we're going to come up with a capability statement that addresses the 6 C's, right? And we produce them in-house, we write them and design them in-house, we make them very attractive, but at the same time, informative, so that it delivers the information that your potential evaluator, your program manager, your contracting officer, your teammates, your contracting officer, technical representative, anyone in government, or the OSPBU, the small business liaison officer, anyone evaluating your viability as a source gets the message right away, right? So your capabilities narrative, your codes, your contact information, right? And your core competencies, your past performance, and do you have any contracting vehicles? How do we do business with you? How do we write this up? Like Brian said, right? So how do we write this up and deliver that information in a very brief and factual manner and get the point across, right? In a memorable way. So we've designed literally hundreds of capability statements in the last year, custom designed. These are not made from templates. They're not the ones you see at the PTAC. Sorry, not to take a dig at the PTAC, but you can pretty much tell who got their capability statement done by a PTAC. They look very modular. They're done in Microsoft Word, and they're blah, blah, blah. Right? They don't stand out. They don't have salsa. They don't have that sauce.
Oh, salsa.
Right? That's it. You got to put a little bit of jazz in there. So that's what we do. And we do that. We do capabilities briefings, capability statements. We redesign your contractor business card so that you have your relevant codes, miniature version of your capability statement, just enough information on there to convey who you are and what you do and what you can bring to the table. Right? Yep. What we do.
And we have a question here. Can you go over the 8A quickly? And we have another one was why I'll ask the next, just tell folks what 8A means.
Yeah, the 8A is a Section 8A is a Small Business Administration's Business Development Program. It's a 9-year program. It's the premier program of the SBA. And you have to be socially and economically disadvantaged. Your net worth has to be less than $750,000, excluding the value of your primary residence and the business applicant. You must be someone that fits into the categories of presumed social disadvantage. Your total worth cannot exceed $6 million. And basically, it's a program where you can be awarded sole source and set aside contracting opportunities with the federal government. And you know, there is a 5% goal of awarding contracts to this category. It's a socioeconomic certification in a category, and it seems to be the preferred category for small business goaling. Right?
And it is.
So, yeah.
It is. And that was one of the questions here is why does 8A seemingly have more focus than WOSB? Because it's been able to be sole sourced for decades. And WOSB is just starting to get there. So I'm going to answer that question.
I want to point out that the EDWOSB was created in 2008, I think, under the Obama administration. And it's a newer version. I think of it, I like to compare it as a sort of a woman-owned version of the 8A program, right? The EDWOSB, the Economically Disadvantaged Women-Owned Small Business. In fact, the 8A program was just trued up, I like to say, in terms of net worth characteristics so that it matches or mirrors the Economically Disadvantaged Women-Owned Small Business category in terms of net worth and criteria for qualification. And that was done recently on the new 8A rules.
Yep. Love it.
You know what, though?
And we're
Just to
asking a
add-
question. Do you have someone who can make one of those capability statements professionally? That would be Rafael Marrero.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's how Rafael would answer. And what are the steps before contacting the CO from anonymous attendee? Guess what? Talk to Rafael Marrero. There's the steps. And with that, I'm going to open this up to say, Rafa, please help me. I love this one. I need to pimp my SAM as part of your process. You pimp their
Oh my
SAM,
gosh,
right?
Dave, seriously?
Yeah, really. And rocking capability statement. I want a socioeconomic certification or something else. Please call me. We'll get there. And we're gonna get into. I got to take these off and get back into my serious mode to talk about funding federal contracts, and we're going to be doing that with Mr. Peter Timbas, who is. Tell us a little bit about you. And you mentioned it earlier. 30 years you've been doing this. You specialize in 8A and other socioeconomic certifications of being able to fund that. You don't get the certifications, you help them fund. And you have over $2 billion, $2 billion
On the low
funding
side.
annually.
On the low side.
On the low side. So he's not, we're even being conservative on those numbers. So what you do better than anybody, what is it that you do better than anybody else, Peter?
I think we provide results. We've been doing this, and when I say we, it's TFN and Action Capital. We've been lending to government contractors. Action has been around since 1959. I just celebrated my 31st year in the business. And we get results. We keep it very, very simple. We lend to the opportunity. I think that's what people here need to understand.
That's a big deal.
That is a huge deal. Whether you're a brand new contractor or you've been in the business for many, many years, we are going to lend to the contract that you win. So it's lending to the opportunity. We look out the windshield to provide you that access to capital. Because in all my years in this business, most of the people say, I didn't grow because I didn't have access to capital. Or I wish I had learned about you 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So we make it very easy. There's no cost to get up and running with us. We'll get you situated. And when you win that contract, we'll be there to finance that contract. And if I can backtrack a little, in the bidding process, the federal government may require you to have a financial letter of support. We will give you that financial letter of support, which will state to the government, should you win the award, you have the financial capability to perform. Now it's more important than ever to get on this ISI bus, because I understand There's a lot of newbies here. And as Sally had mentioned, every federal agency has a statutory goal that a certain amount of contract opportunities have to go to small business. That for fiscal year 2022 has just been raised from 5% to 11%.
Is that done?
Excuse me?
Is that done? I didn't know that it was done.
Yeah, it's in the new infrastructure law.
Yep.
Oh, wow. See that?
And also set asides now are going from 10% to 15%. And as I stated earlier in this presentation, is that in my experience, over 50% of 8A contractors never receive a federal government award. So now please take advantage. Now is the time to get on the ISI bus with David, with Sally, with Rafael, with Brian, with Greg, because we have a lot of resources that we can bring to the table. And I look forward to helping as many of you grow as quickly as you can. Now is the opportunity. You can't use the excuse, I don't have access to capital, because we lend to the opportunity and not your financial statements.
And I
So
think this is
Vandu- Yeah.
important, Peter, when you talk about lending to the opportunity. And so everybody knows about traditional bank funding and things like that. So take us through, because you're not a traditional lending mechanism. You're working with them in a different way. Tell us what you do every day.
Well, what we do is when we talk to our potential customers, we look to help them win awards. And then once they win awards, we do not look at the historical data. We do get the historical data from a company just so we can get a snapshot of where they are. But a lot of times we'll have companies that have $1 million of revenue and they're bidding on a contract that's going to take them from 1 million to $5 million. Well, on a $1 million revenue, if they could qualify for bank financing, they may get a $250,000 line of credit. But how is that going to help them on that new award that's going to bring in 4 million of revenue? Well, we're going to adjust our lines of credit to them based on their potential business. So we're going to give them the financing and the tools to grow their companies. I say to all our current customers, if you are looking to bring on new business, never shy away from contracts that you feel you can handle, but size-wise, you're afraid of bringing them on, because we'll be there to support you in the service-related business. We do a lot of medical staffing companies. We do a lot of IT companies, and they can grow from 10 employees to 100 employees overnight by getting on the ISI bus, winning those contracts, and we'll be there to fund that business. And
I didn't realize we had it. I didn't realize we had an entire bus. That's fantastic.
We have a bus, and
We have a bus.
Hopefully, we have a chain of buses.
So yeah, we have a chain of buses.
Because we can only get 60 people on a bus.
That's right. That's a good point. We need a bigger bus.
Remember Peter Timbas.
That's Tim Bus.
Tim
I'm changing
Bus.
my name from Tim Bass to Tim Bus.
Oh, that's crazy. And this is one of my favorites. So you helped these folks way back when. This is a big deal. The worldwide technology. If you're not familiar with these folks, they're a big deal. $13.4 billion in 2021. And this is a quote from the co-founder, David Stewart. And you met this guy years ago, right?
Well, I started funding David in the early 90s. We funded him for about 3 or 4 years, but we got him through those infancy stages to help him really grow. And just a quick story. I was we go to a lot of veterans conferences. Yep. And I was in his corporate headquarters is 14 buildings. It's like a campus. And he brought me into the board meeting, into his boardroom. He had all his senior managers come in. And he said to all his managers, he introduced me, Peter Timbas, TFN, Action Capital. And he looked at all his senior management. He said, "You see this guy over here?" They said, "Yep." He says, "If it wasn't for him, none of you would have jobs today."
Man,
which is a pretty high compliment.
That's really good.
But David is our biggest success stories. I have probably 20 others from companies that, because of our payroll funding, and that's huge in our business, where we will advance for payroll even prior to you invoicing your customer. That is absolutely huge. And that one specific product that we have has allowed companies to grow into the millions and ultimately sell their companies to the big Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah, love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know I've known Peter for years. We've connected at different veterans conferences, NVSB conferences in particular. Just, and I love the way that you talk, and, you know, he's got that Southern accent going. I just don't know how you guys deal with that super Southern accent. I'm just kidding. All right. So let's find out how many folks need what you do.
I thought it was Cuban. I thought it was Cuban.
Hey, Cuban.
I
Hold
thought
on
he
a
was from
second.
Arkansas.
I thought he was Native American.
Hold on a
I'm
second.
from wherever you want me to be.
There you go.
I gotta ask the question. Hold on a second. I gotta find your, how is this, how does it happen that I can't get to the freaking poll? Hold on a second, because this is an important poll.
We believe that you
folks
can do this.
to
We
go.
believe in you.
All right, I know I can. I gotta go into here. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Go ahead and ask a question for the contracting officer while I get this stinking poll to work the way it's
Very
supposed
quickly, I
to.
put Peter's information in the chat. So you can basically, and Peter's great. He'll schedule a call in Calendly, like a 15-minute call. You can give him a call, and I put all of his information, his phone number,
There we go.
et cetera.
Boom. Got it.
Hey,
So there you go. And we're going to get to, one of the questions I have for you, back to you, Brian Hebel, is do you look at how important is the stability of an organization in order to get a contract award?
Well, the one thing we have to do is do a responsibility determination, and you have to make sure they have an adequate cash flow. So that is one aspect prior to making an award, particularly for newer companies.
Mhm.
So we do go through that hoop. It's probably, Peter could probably answer, it's probably more important for the companies to have a good cash flow as opposed to what the government's going to do. But if you have a letter of credit, you know, it's probably not going to be a problem. For 8A, for small businesses, particularly 8As, if in the event there's a problem there financially, we would go to the SBA and they would issue a letter of competency, have to issue a letter of competency if we didn't think a company had adequate financial resources.
And there you go. And part of that financial piece, that you said, what you do beforehand, what is that, Peter, that you do beforehand?
Letter of financial support.
Letter of
Issuing a
financial
letter
support.
of financial support.
Love it. Fantastic. Well, I do appreciate that. And we're going to take a quick pause to talk about what everybody needs to be doing and what you need to be doing if you're looking for, everybody's looking for wins, right? Rafael Marrero, everybody's looking for wins.
Everybody.
Right? Everybody is. So what do they give us to look for wins? They give us SAM.gov. How many people love this bad boy that they've created for us? Because all opportunities hit SAM.gov, right, Brian Hebel?
Most do, correct.
No, you are.
no,
you,
no.
You know that ain't right. So
No.
we're not going to ask you about your thoughts about SAM.gov.
Okay.
We all know. So we built SAM.bid. Why? Because you need a custom monitoring tool to be able to do it. You can do it by NAICS, by PSC, by keywords. It does what SAM.gov should do so that you know first, you can review, you can propose, and that gets you to the place where you are winning. Here's the problem. Well, not the problem. Here's the good thing. It's only $89 a month. The problem is it only gets you to the 2%. 2% hits SAM.gov and GSA e-buy combined, just saying. So what are you going to, now you talk about this on one side, it is the reactive side, right? Now we need to get something for proactive. Why? Because we have to get to the other 98%. Let me get this out of the way so I can actually see what I'm doing. And the other 98% is, how do you get those? Guess what? 76% of those are awarded to one of 5 companies. And that's built on trust. How do you build trust? Guess what? You have meaningful conversations with people like Brian. What do you do in your meaningful conversations? You get exposure and you get engaged. You have to engage and you have to exhibit that you have the ability to do it. You have your capabilities, saying that these are my core competencies and that you have expertise that they need. So we built this the AMP system. We built the AMP system so that you can get to these. And guess what? It's all getting to the other 98%. The price tag for it is $4.99 a month, but no, it isn't. It is half price for $2.49 a month, and you can get that at SAM.bid, and this gets you to the 100%, which is what we're talking about. You have got to have the meaningful conversations with people. Here's how you get started. You get started by clicking here. Well, imagine that. Get started. Go to SAM.bid, click here, and choose the one on the right-hand side, because you want to monitor not only opportunities, you want to monitor awards. And you might say, why do you want to monitor awards, Dave? Because you want to find the buyers associated with the people that are buying from your competition. This will get you 5 to 15 leads every week so that you can get proactive. 7-day trial for this includes the buyer contact info, the awardee contact info. If you want to sub to Prime, if you want to apply your small business status into their world and make sure that they're meeting their small business goals, you also have the 12-month buyer report history to say, who else is this contracting officer buying from? So you can size up people like Brian Hebel before you make the phone call. And most importantly, you can talk about a recent award. And you started to talk about this, Brian. You made a call on behalf of your client back in December. You found an award, and what did you do? What did you do?
So I actually emailed the contracting officer, and I stated what my what problem I was going to solve.
Yep.
It was some new technology, and I asked to find out who the program manager was. So
And did they give it to you?
They did. They
No
actually
way.
I had the program manager email me, and what we were looking to do was either to sub. They awarded an $84 million contract, and we were looking to, it was kind of something similar to what our technology had with some telemedicine. So we were either looking to sub, maybe do a sub to the Prime, or have them award a contract to us that was in this suite. So anyhow, we got a meeting with the program manager, and he sent some information on to somebody else. It wasn't in his smokestack per se, but we still got that far. So TBD, to be determined where it goes from there. But we did get some meetings, had a nice hour-long meeting, and they were impressed with the technology.
But the objective is you use something that was a recent award, and you went back to December. What SAM.bid does is it tells you something that happened yesterday or the day before in the past week. And this is the value of it, so that you can get to decision makers before the next opportunity. And how do you want to, and I can't do this one either. What is happening with my polls here,
You can do it.
folks?
You totally can do it. And just friendly reminder, everyone, no questions in the chat. Ask questions in the Q&A. If you look to the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see something that says Q&A, and there's 11 questions in the Q&A. And I'm dancing. I'm being the rodeo clown with the bull while you're getting it, Dave. Tell me when you're ready, and I'll stop talking.
Yep. There we go. Here it is. How important is getting to decision makers before the requirement? Critically, or you weren't paying attention. So how you like that? And if you'd like to know more about SAM.bid, you can request a demo, and we'll do that and get you cooking on that. We have a bunch of questions that we're going to try to get to as well.
Dave, are you talking about AMP or is that or not?
AMP and SAM.bid. Yep.
Good. So
So-
I have to tell you, I get it every day, and it's the most valuable tool, and there's nothing more economical. It's incredible.
Love it. And we'll be glad to get you. You can sign up for a 7-day trial today, and you can schedule a quick demo if you would like to. We'll get you cooking on that as well. So how
So can we
important
get a
is
demo?
getting,
Oh, sorry. Can we get a demo of SAM.bid? Like, how can I get that?
if you want, we can do one after this. If you want,
Okay.
we can do that.
Cool.
If there's enough folks here and you just want to stick around, we can do a demo after.
I'd
I'll
love
be glad to
to.
do
I'd
that.
love to.
All right, cool. So with this, how important is that, Brian, getting to the decision makers before the next one comes out?
Yeah, before the requirement, you want to get to them once they start to write the requirement and, the scope of work and some of the other information, they're going to probably start to shut down with you. There's actually a FAR clause out there.
It says you can't.
Or 5.201 exchanges with industry before receipt of proposals. they can actually meet with you up to the receipt of the proposals, but realistically, probably 3-4 months before the RFP comes out, they're probably gonna start to put their antennas up. So you
There you
need
go.
to them to help them with the requirement, shape the acquisition, whether you submit them a white paper, whether you have some performance metrics they might be interested in. I tell you what I'd like to used to see, Dave. I used to like to see a solicitation that another agency is using. It might be some unique evaluation criteria, some performance metrics, or something along that line. So if you can educate the CEO or the program manager on some unique solicitation that another agency was doing, they'll probably want to meet with you.
Awesome.
For that reason. So
Love it. And we got everybody that wasn't paying attention. Everybody was paying attention. That's fantastic. Love it. So thank you very much. We will make sure that you get that. In fact, if you want to schedule a time, Zachary, you can pop in there for your piece, and we will be talking about reaching program managers just like you did. We'll be talking about that next session on March 8th. That's what we're going to be doing. Other creative ways of doing funding. I want to make sure I get Mike. Mike, you there still? Did you fall asleep on me, Mike Richardson?
No, I actually fell off for a minute, but I'm back, but my camera won't turn on.
Oh, you can't get your camera. Hold on.
He'll help you out, Mike.
We don't really want to see you anyway, but
It's not important.
but I will. Hold on. Let me get you there. I got to promote you back to co-host since you got dropped.
Mike
You got dropped out. He fell.
Logics.
I put him in a coma, and he fell off. He just fell right on the computer and knocked it off. All right, you there?
Hey, let me rub the sleep out of my eyes. Okay.
So Mike
Yes, sir, I'm
Richardson with
here.
Aqualogics, you have something that you're doing in Florida, but it's something can also be done in ESPC contracts or energy savings performance contracts that Department of Energy does, which 5 contracting officers told me was illegal, Brian Hebel, by the way. And it was, so anyway, go ahead and tell us about what you're
Well, I
doing.
don't know about
in
the
Florida.
illegal or not. I'm going to leave that to you guys and the lawyers. But so first of all, for everybody here, because you don't know me, Aqualogics does cooling tower optimization. We save water on cooling towers, and that significantly impacts the bottom line for your water bill and some electrical savings as well. But the cost of the projects are relatively expensive. They're not, cheap. They do have quick turnarounds for ROIs, but the way that we have started taking these forward is we work with in Florida, at least in this, we're working with the water management districts because they have a cost share program. So what happens is the state of Florida every year allots roughly $40 million a year that's distributed throughout the state to go toward water savings projects or water infrastructure projects for improving the use of water and reducing the amount of water being used. So that's the way that they're doing it in South Florida and St. Johns River Management District is they have a 50% cost share for construction and implementation. So it's just a matter of filing and being selected. And once you're selected for the project, then you have up to 2 years to complete the project and receive that 50% cost share. Now, for this year, if anybody's interested out there, it's February 18th. I've got 10 days. We can still do it. It's March 1st down in Miami and South Florida. We can still do that. So it's a good way to take savings forward. And ESCOs do use water savings. As a former recovering ESCO guy, ESCOs do use these rebates, right? They're always looking for rebates to fold in to save the government money and have a better effective overall project for the government, because we don't want to waste their money any more than they want to waste the money. We want to get the biggest bang for the buck for the GSA or whoever it may be that is, initiating an overall energy project. And these rebates and cost shares can ultimately roll into, if it's a really big project, the ability for them to fund a cogeneration plant or something like that. Something completely outside of water, but the savings metric bundles into the overall package for an big energy project.
Love it. So there's different ways, because you understand it, you're helping them do the paperwork and fill it out on behalf of the end
Yeah,
customer.
we're actually, you know, they say, hey, I've got, you know, this. And I collect all of the data and put the model together. We can rapidly model the cost and savings for a cooling tower. And then if the metric looks good, and there's two metrics to it, and I don't want to get into too much.
Yeah, don't go into metrics. You'll put people.
Yeah, it's really in the weeds. But basically, if it looks good, then we just, we being me, because it's the mouse in my pocket, you know, the royal we fill out the application to St. Johns River or to Miami or South Florida.
And so,
We submit it.
and so the biggest thing here is there's always creative ways to help your customer get what they want and also fund the contract. And that was one of the things when I was talking about this on Monday, this was just yesterday. I was like, hey man, you got to come and talk about that, because it was awesome.
Yeah,
So,
well, just as an aside, the cool part about these programs, they're underutilized, first of all.
mhm.
So they're always looking to just, you know, like the government, they're looking to give away money. They have to spend the money or they get in trouble.
Yep.
In this case, the governor's giving them $40 million. They need to execute that $40 million and clean it off the books to show performance.
And this is,
So-
that's on the state side. There's other stuff that happens on the fed side too. And
it
I know,
varies from state to state. There's a lot of really good programs nationally.
yep.
But the cool part about it is you can submit for the funding and be approved and then come back later and say, yeah, I don't want to do the project. And they'll go, oh, okay. And they just roll the money over to the next person. So it's
That's
no
fantastic.
harm, no foul, but you got to file.
Yeah.
You don't get it till you file it.
So yeah, so if you're interested in that, let me know and I'll connect you to Mike with Aqualogics, or you can pop your information in the chat, Mike. And we're way over the time, but I do have other things that I want to make sure you guys get a hold of. Joseph said, which one of you can help market our GSA schedule? That would be me and my crew. So we'll be glad to do that. But I also want to talk about, since you brought up GSA schedules, we have Greg Clark, and that's what you do, Greg, right?
That's one of the two main focuses of our company. We help about 425 companies get on the GSA schedule, and then after you're on the schedule, maintain your contract, which means as you diversify going into new areas, you can add new categories, new labor categories, new offerings, all of that. And then we also help companies identify and evaluate opportunities out for bid to determine if it's a good fit for your experience and capabilities. And when it is a good fit, we can help you prepare your proposal to increase your chances of winning.
Fantastic. And that's
in one breath.
In one breath. That is awesome, man. And I appreciate your pithiness on this and keeping it tight. I tell you what, and so Greg, you had one statement yesterday in the Monday roundtables that we were in, and you said, what did you say? Because this has to do with whether or not you should bid or not. This was awesome. Did you remember what it was?
No.
I remember.
Sally's got it. Sally, what did you say?
So I really want to bid on this contract. And I really don't understand why it is not possible that I can't bid.
You can win.
I really want to have this contract, but I really
Yes,
have no chance of winning it.
Right.
And
Something
so
like that.
one of the things that you do is you help folks understand whether they can win. Number one,
Yes.
because it's not fair. It's not even, I don't care what Brian says about him putting everything on SAM.gov. All right, with that, I'm going to open up the poll. If you would like some information from Greg, please help me get a GSA contract, schedule, whatever you want to call it, a current proposal, future proposal, my past performance. Very important for past performance, right, Greg?
Yep.
Yep.
Extremely important.
Extremely important. And we do have a couple of questions here, and then we will do a demo of because we got people asking me about the SAM. Joseph, we will do the AMP listings. We'll show you the AMP listings in just a minute. How do we do business with WWT? I would reach out to Brian, as I think, not Brian. I would reach out to Peter because I think he might know somebody at WWT. All right. And so, Brian, I'm sure you have a lot of companies reaching out to you, creating relationships that made company or companies stand out to make you remember them. How did you do that? How did they remember? How did you respond? You had one guy that just did the lapel thing, right?
Yeah. In fact, I was just answering. Hey, Greg Lyon, your answer. Contact Antonio Das, SBA in DC. He's a good guy. Well, he should help you with your question. You know what? I think most people that I remember were people that that really were going to help me
Mhm.
in some
You're
way. shape, or
selfish. You're a
form.
selfish son of a gun.
Yeah, or knew the FAR, or maybe like before COVID, maybe I'd go to lunch with them, or maybe, if they'd be sitting in the cafeteria every day at the agency. I think, what is it, Dave? You need to see somebody 3 times to remember them.
At
So
least.
if you came in and met with me and gave me your capability statement, I might have forgot about you in 2 weeks. But if you, followed up with me and were just a pain in the tail over and over again, I think it's multiple touches would probably resonate with me, from that standpoint. So
I had multiple contracting officers say, "You've been calling me for 6 months. I'm going to give you a chance." That was their criteria. The whole criteria was 6 months. Because it's not what's in it for you, it's what's in it for them. And you just said it. What's important
Dave,
to me.
Dave, just a real quick plug, and I don't do a lot of plugs, but we are doing Cpars training at 1 o'clock today.
Oh yeah.
We train
Zachary,
government.
can you
people.
drop that in? Cpars
in
training for
chat.
Brian.
Yeah, we do train government and we train industry. We've trained about 1,000 people in industry. So if you're interested in taking our Cpars training, we do it about every 3 months, and we'll be doing it on Dave's platform coming up.
Yep,
Brian,
we'll be
please
doing
put
it.
the link in the chat.
Yep,
I don't
we'll do
know.
it.
I don't know what the link is.
We know what the link is. Zachary has the link.
Oh, good. No
He'll
more
drop
plugs.
it in for you. He's going to drop it in. So this is how the Winnable opportunity metrics works. Remember, there is no middle. If they don't know who you are, they will not buy from you. So I'm going to answer this poll, and then we're going to hop into SAM.bid in just a minute and the AMP system. Do you need professional help? I am certain that most of us need professional help. Some of that professional help you will not find on this platform. You've got to go to some kind of other type of facility for your professional help. If you would like federal business development professional help, that's where we are. Finding opportunities, engaging buyers. Let us know about that. Greg Clark, here's Greg Clark's information. And we will be doing what Greg Clark will be talking about.
Unsolicited proposals.
Unsolicited proposals. Again, we know that was a barn burner last time, boy. We had as many people on that as we had on here. So Rafael Marrero is here. If you would like to buy some blue glasses, you have to go on Amazon. But if you would like your 8A or you want your capabilities done, that's for you, Rafael Marrero. Thank you, doctor.
You got it.
Yeah, man. And your book, you need to put your book thing in there of what your book name is.
Yep, it's books actually, but yeah, we're gonna do
books.
Uncle
Oh,
Sam.
I'm sorry. I forgot. It's now books.
It's books.
It's
Libros.
books. All right, very good. And you need to be one of them. You have to know how to read Spanish, so it's not.
Well, there's one coming out in English, and several of the panelists on this program are going to be guest writers for that. So that's something that we're going to discuss later on.
Love it, love it. If you want to connect, I can take these off now. See I'm doing my quick wardrobe change. Sally White can help with your LinkedIn and help you with teaming as well as doing things in that world. You can say bye, Sally.
Bye, Sally. Oh,
All right.
bye, everyone. Thank you. I've been connecting on LinkedIn.
You can hang
Thank
out if you want to see SAM.bid.
I do want to hang out.
All right, cool. You can do that. Peter Timbas, thank you, sir, for all your help.
Thank you.
You're the first one with the QR code thing. Digging it, man. That's very cool.
Thank you.
Brian Hebel, thank you, sir. It's great to
Dave,
see you,
thanks.
man. We got our thing happening. When is our
Thank
thing
you.
happening?
See you Thursday.
Thursday. If you want to do business with HHS CMS deep dive, because this guy knows CMS, and their next session will be on March 8th. And we'll be talking about reaching program managers, and we're going to be and we'll do that using SAM.bid with the AMP system to help you do that, where you can get that for 7 days for free. And you can just pick that. Make sure you do the AMP system. We'll talk about that in a minute. Quick Fuse is only for GSA contract holders. If you like that, you can do that, QUIKFUSE.com. You can find us everywhere on YouTube and LinkedIn. You can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So we will see you next month. Anybody that wants to hang around and see the SAM.bid system, I'm going to do this absolutely
Well, he's doing it
on the-
super quick. I put
on
in
the fly.
chat.
Go ahead. What you got?
I just put, if you wanted to save the chat, I wrote it in the chat. So
Oh,
all
good
you
deal.
do is at the bottom, you click on the 3 dots, click on the 3 dots, click on save chat, and then it says show in folder, and it will have the entire chat. And if there's some reason you can't do it, I've done it, and you can email me and I'll email it to you.
Love it.
Nice.
All right. So now I was not prepping for this, but I'm going to do this anyway, because I'm crazy. I'm crazy enough to do it nonetheless. All right. So I'm going to
Be great.
go ahead and share this. I'm going to see if I can do this without causing a warp in the time-space continuum. All right. I'm going to end the poll, right? Everybody's done with that poll. I ended that, got rid of that, get rid of all the rest of the stuff. And we'll do our best to answer a couple of questions outside of that for folks that we didn't get to. So what you're looking at is my inbox of
Your
like a
inbox,
bazillion
yeah.
things. So let's talk about opportunities first, right? So everybody wants opportunities, and you'll see that the monitoring system here, here's a SAM opportunity detail for sources sought. So I'm monitoring for Oracle. Okay. So if we're so everybody, you can do whatever you want. This happens to be for monitoring for Oracle specifically. All right. And the reason why this is important is because we want to know right away when there's an opportunity, right? That's the reason. And not only that, we want to have access to it without having to log into SAM.gov every time. Because what happens when you log into SAM.gov? You got to do the dual factor authentication. A lot of people aren't doing it just because it's a pain, just to do that. So the quickest thing, the reason why this matters is you can go right here, click here, and you have access right to the stuff without having to log in, right? And you can see the documents, et cetera, and all those pieces. Everything is already packaged for you in the email. Why would you want to do this in email? Because you live in email and you don't live in an app. That's why everything is done via email from the SAM.bid system. And what this gets you to is say, okay, it's a source of sought and it's hitting in your world. Do you want to provide an RFI response to that? Do you want to engage Greg to do it? Whatever, if you want to respond, it may be a simple response, say, I'm just interested and I'm a small business, I'm 8A, I'm woman-owned, hub zone, whatever that happens to be. So this is the opportunities. Again, this is the 2% that land on SAM.gov. You just want to know faster and earlier than anybody else. That's what SAM.bid will do. It'll send it to you right when it lands. You don't have to log in. Everybody get that as a concept? Does that make sense? So the question is, why would you want to monitor awards? Now, when I first pulled this out, I was talking to Alberto Lugo. He said, what you're telling me, Dave, is I'm a loser. I'm like, well, you've been a loser. You just didn't know you were a loser. So what we're saying is, yes, you lost. However, if we take a look at this one, this is for Oracle licensing. And this is going to Mythics Incorporated for $31,000 and change. And it's for Shirley Anderson with the Federal Highway Administration. This was awarded. Now we found out about this was launched. This told us on Monday, but it was reported and it was within a week, right? So it was on 2/1. So this is something that Shirley Anderson remembers. Brian did this the other day. He went back into December, found something that was relevant, reached out to the Shirley Anderson. I don't know who that was that you reached out, who Brian reached out to, but he said, I want to talk to you about this. So what if we just did this and said, hey, I'd like to talk to you about the award to Mythics on 2/1. So right away, it is something that Shirley knows. You're connecting with the award, and you also have so you may have something that goes along with that. You may have Oracle, something that goes along with Oracle licenses like development or database administration or whatever it happens to be. You want to do that. It doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't have to be Oracle, by the way. You pick your own keywords, but it monitors for you and it gives you the connection. It says, okay, this is something that you just awarded. And oh, by the way, you awarded to one of my competitors potentially, or one of my teaming partners, whatever it happens to be. And then you're going to say, hey, what if I actually wanted to reach out to Mythics because I wanted to sub, or I wanted to see if there's there's a way that we could work together, teaming arrangement, potentially. That would be something that we could do. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. This right here tells you all the rest of the folks, and it isn't super sexy, but as soon as you start using this, you'll see how it works. It is a simple spreadsheet that shows you all of the folks that Shirley has purchased from in the last year. Why would you want to know that? Because you want to know whether or not she's just swimming in the technical side, or if she's doing more, she's a jack of all trades. In this instance, you can see that the vast majority of what she does is in construction and architecture and engineering. So she's not going after IT people all the time. This may be a great resource for you for IT, because she is not usually swimming there, but just purchased Oracle licenses. Does that make sense? Again, getting into the contracting officer's head of how they operate. So if we go into SAM.bid, I'm going to open this up real quick. I'll show you what the login process looks like. So we log in, and believe it or not, I'm not a robot. So I log in, and this is the search criteria. I did pencils and I did Oracle. Not a lot of pencils, but I do want to know if something lands with pencils. So this is what we have. But just have the keyword of Oracle. We can do NAICS codes, we can do PSEs, and we can also monitor DUNS. We can monitor your competition. So every time there's an award with your competition, we tell you when there's an award with the competition. So this shows us many, many things that we want to know. Oh, I need to go to test, because this is what's coming. But this is exactly why we're building out the system. I'm sorry, that went to the wrong place. So once we're in here, we have the ability to formulate what we have, and we can monitor everything that matters to us. So it's delivered to us via the email. And oh, by the way, here's one that just came in this morning that was awarded yesterday for Oracle Cloud Computing Services and so Emergent LLC. If you're doing cloud computing, you probably want to talk to Katie Hughes from FAS. Does that make sense? So again, you can see the $0 awards. Sometimes those are BPAs, but watch this. There's another thing I want to show you. Number of offers received, 5. Number of offers received, 1. Number of offers received, 1. You will never see this on SAM.gov. Number of offers received, 1. 2. You want to be one, none. You want to be one of the 5. That's the objective. And using this system, it's not just a system that you would monitor for and say, okay, that's nice. No, you want to use this and act on the information that's associated with this. Contact the buyer, contact the awardee, make sure you're getting on the buyer's radar for the next one, find out if there's anything else that's coming down the pipe. Well, in this whole process, we're going to be helping you communicate with these people. We're going to use this system to help you communicate with them and get ahead of the next RFP. And that's what's all about. And did you hear what Brian said about getting ahead like 2 to 3 months ahead? Because they'll start to shut down, the radar starts to go up. That's where we want to go. So with that, I'm just going to say, if you are interested, I will answer, I'll get this one last poll. Hang on a second. And because I'll ask this one last poll about SAM.bid. If you missed the last one, if you already responded to it, that's fine. If you want a 7-day trial, you want to sign up, that's great. If you want some additional information, let us know and we'll reach out to you today. Right, Zachary? We'll be reaching out to you today. Zachary is my son who's working on this. Fantastic. Well, we'll welcome you guys aboard, everybody that's coming on board. You also get access to the Monday roundtables that I was talking with Mike and Sally about, because that's where we dialogue about these types of situations. Say, how can we reach people? How can we best communicate with people? What's the best way? What's the best email format? What should my capability statement look like? All of those things. You would certainly use professional services like Rafael and the rest of the folks, but we want to make sure you get to where you want to go. And we build systems to do it, and we can help you do that. So with that, I'm going to thank you guys. Greg, you got any last minute things you want to talk about? Sally, you got anything you want to say?
Hope we covered it. It was a pleasure having
good.
all of you here. I'm sorry,
Awesome.
Greg.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All
And we
right.
still have 131 people that stayed around. Thank you so much. A lot of powerful information. Connect with all of us. We're happy to help. Be
Yep.
safe. Have a
We
great week.
appreciate you guys for joining us. And Rafael Marrero, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dave. Thank
Hey,
you,
bud.
everyone.
Yep. And you got a bunch of folks you're going to have to contact today as well. But we do appreciate you guys joining us. And thanks for hanging out with us for an extra 22 minutes and the craziness that happens. And let me show off a little bit with this, because this is really exciting stuff for us as a company. We're transitioning into this big time. You guys are on the front end of it, which is why it's half price. And you're not going to, it is going to change the world. This is
Hey, Dave, can you send me an invoice? I want to sign up.
Send you an invoice. I'll send you an invoice. Sign up on SAM.bid.
Okay, all right.
You can sign up. I will take your money, Rafael.
Well, I'm fixing to do that right now.
Fixing to do it right now.
Yep.
And that's fantastic. But I love you guys. Appreciate your help with everything. And Greg, you and I on the, when is that? That's
24th.
24th.
And Friday, Rafael, I'll see you Friday. I'm coming down for lunch and I'm bringing my big fork.
Yeah.
Going doing the Cuban things. You give me the two
Oh yeah,
Cuban tour?
we're gonna get our Cuban on this.
Oh, that's fantastic, guys. That's fantastic. I want to join you myself. I'll be down there for too long. I'm telling you the truth. All right, guys. Thanks so much. We appreciate you, everybody that joined us, and we'll make sure we reach out to you and get where you need to go. Thanks, guys. If you want to sign up, SAM.bid is www.sam.bid, and you can sign up right now. All right, guys. We'll see you later. Thanks.